Most people believe that to deal with a narcissist or a manipulator, you need to learn their games, sharpen your claws, and prepare for battle. But Carl Jung knew a deeper truth. The most effective way to defeat the darkness is not to fight it, but to become so filled with light that the darkness can no longer find a place to rest within you. If you've ever wondered why certain energy vampires suddenly stopped calling, or why the drama at your office seems to bypass your desk entirely, it isn't luck. It's because your inner peace has become a frequency they literally cannot tune into. You see, toxic people don't just want your time. They want your reaction. They feed on the friction of your ego. But what if you've unconsciously developed a high vibration aura that acts like a psychological no trespassing sign? Today, we're peeling back the veil on the 5 undeniable signs that your mental health and mindset have reached a level of emotional intelligence that makes you invisible to predators. This isn't just about positivity. It's about a radical shift in your soul's architecture. We are going to explore how setting boundaries and embracing simple living creates a shield of positive energy so strong it doesn't just protect you. It transforms your entire reality. Prepare yourself, because once you recognize these signs, you'll realize you aren't a victim of your environment. You are the master of it. You believe your kindness is a weakness, but in the realm of the unconscious, it is your greatest weapon. Most people are terrified of the word no, fearing they'll lose their place in the tribe. But you've realized that setting boundaries is the ultimate act of self-care. When you stand firm with a no thank you, you aren't just refusing a task, you are honoring the Carl Jung concept of the shadow, refusing to let another person's darkness colonize your soul. This isn't about being rude. It's about maintaining a high vibration aura that signals you are no longer a target for those who feed on compliance. Imagine a pushy coworker, the kind who dumps their emergencies on your desk 5 minutes before you leave for the day. Instead of panicking, you simply smile and say, "I'd love to help, but I've committed this evening to my inner peace," and you walk away without a shred of guilt. This is how you begin simple living. By realizing your time is a sacred currency that toxic people have no right to spend, when you stop being a yes man, you start radiating a positive energy that makes manipulators feel like they're trying to grip water. They just can't get a hold of you. Your mental health flourishes the moment you stop explaining yourself to people who only want to misunderstand you. Carl Jung taught us that what we resist persists, but when you simply draw a line in the sand, the conflict vanishes because you refuse to engage in the battle. You're not building a wall to hide behind. You're growing a protective bubble of positivity that filters out the noise of the world. It's like choosing to invest your focus in a blue-chip stock like Microsoft rather than a volatile gamble. You're playing the long game for your own mindset. Developing this superpower is the first step toward true emotional intelligence. As it proves you are the master of your own house, you'll notice that once you stop being a safe harbor for everyone else's drama, your own inner peace starts to feel like a solid foundation rather than a fleeting emotion. Toxic people will huff and puff, but they'll soon realize your house isn't made of straw. By holding your ground, you're actually clearing the path for something much deeper, a quiet stillness that most people spend their entire lives running away from. In the chaotic theater of modern life, most people are like dry leaves tossed about by every passing wind. But you have discovered the secret of the inner peace found in stillness. Carl Jung often spoke of the need to find a center that remains unmoved by the storms of the collective unconscious. Much like a deep, calm lake, when your coworkers are shouting or the world is drowning in outrage, your silence isn't a sign of weakness. It is a manifestation of a high vibration aura. You've realized that by refusing to mirror their frantic energy, you effectively starve the fire of their drama, leaving them with no fuel to burn. Think of a stressful meeting where everyone is playing the blame game and tensions are rising like a fever. Instead of catching that mental flu, you take a slow breath, perhaps focusing on a grounding practice like those found in The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh. By maintaining your mental health through a quiet presence, you become an island of sanity that toxic people find incredibly frustrating to inhabit. They are looking for a splash, a reaction to validate their chaos. But your emotional intelligence keeps the waters of your soul perfectly flat and unbothered. This isn't about being passive. It's about setting boundaries through the sheer weight of your own positive energy. When you choose simple living in your emotional reactions, you stop wasting your life force on battles that don't belong to you. It's a lot like choosing to keep your money in a stable treasury bond during a market crash. While everyone else is losing their heads and their capital, you are quietly building interest in your own mindset. You are essentially telling the world that your inner peace is not for sale, and certainly not for rent to the highest bidder of drama. As you remain this calm lake, you'll find that the people who only value noise will eventually pack up and leave your shore. They'll go find someone else to splash, because you've become a mirror that reflects their own instability back at them, and most toxic people can't stand their own reflection. By staying quiet, you aren't just surviving the storm, you are proving that the storm has no power over the depths of who you really are. This quiet strength is a beacon, subtly drawing your attention toward how you present yourself to the world without ever needing to say a single word. In a world obsessed with the look at me game, you've realized that the loudest person in the room is often the most fragile. Carl Jung observed that when we desperately seek external validation, we lose touch with the self, becoming a hollow shell of archetypal projections. By choosing to step away from the ego-driven competition of social media and status, you are practicing a profound form of self-care. You don't need the likes or the trophies to feel whole, because your inner peace comes from a source that the world didn't give and can't take away. Toxic people thrive on making others feel small so they can feel tall, but your refusal to play their game renders their ladder useless. Imagine being at a holiday party where a relative is bragging about their new car just to make you feel inferior about your own choices. Instead of competing, you simply say, "That's a beautiful car. I'm glad it makes you happy." And you move on to enjoy your drink. This is simple living at its finest, refusing to let your mental health be dictated by someone else's desperate need for superiority and high vibration status symbols. Your high vibration aura is fueled by authenticity, not by the curated perfection we see on a glowing screen. When you stop trying to win at life, you suddenly have the energy to actually live it, focusing on mindset shifts that favor depth over surface-level glitter. It's like opting to read a timeless classic like Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl instead of scrolling through endless, mindless feeds. One feeds the soul, while the other only starves the spirit. By being happy with your own toys, you become invisible to the predators who hunt for insecurity. Refusing to compete is perhaps the ultimate act of setting boundaries in a society that demands your constant participation in the rat race. You aren't hiding, you are simply existing on a frequency that toxic people cannot tune into because it lacks the friction they require to survive. This detachment creates a vacuum where their influence used to be, allowing you to fill that space with genuine positivity and a quiet, unshakable confidence. As you stop looking for the spotlight, you begin to notice that you've become a source of light yourself. One that reveals everything for what it truly is. Honesty is far more than just a policy. It is a psychological, surgical tool that cuts through the illusions of the persona. Carl Jung insisted that to lie is to kill a part of the soul, and by choosing to speak the truth with a kind heart, you are effectively protecting your mental health from the rot of deceit. You've learned that you don't need to be aggressive to be firm, you simply shine your light. This positive energy isn't meant to burn others, but to illuminate the reality of the situation, which is a nightmare for toxic people who rely on shadows to manipulate those around them. Think of a friend who constantly makes jokes at your expense to hide their own insecurity. Instead of playing along or getting angry, you look them in the eye and say, "When you say those things, it actually hurts our connection, and I value our friendship too much to let that happen." By being a good news messenger of the truth, you are setting boundaries that are impossible to ignore. You're using emotional intelligence to address the shadow directly, much like how a mentor might guide you through a difficult passage in a book like Radical Candor by Kim Scott. With directness and deep care, when you live in the light, you realize that simple living is only possible when you aren't carrying the heavy weight of secrets. Toxic people find your presence uncomfortable because they can't find a hook in you. There are no hidden agendas for them to exploit. Your high vibration aura acts as a natural disinfectant, clearing the air of the gaslighting and mind games that usually dominate unhealthy relationships. It's like choosing to invest in a transparent, well-regulated market. You know exactly where you stand, and you won't be caught off guard by hidden liabilities in your mindset. This commitment to the truth creates a shield of positivity that most people can't even perceive until they try to pierce it. You aren't being brutally honest for the sake of cruelty. You are being authentically honest for the sake of inner peace. By refusing to participate in the little white lies that keep toxic dynamics alive, you force the people around you to either step into the light or retreat further into the dark. As they pull away, you'll find that your life becomes a vacuum for something much more attractive. Drawing in a completely different kind of frequency, by consciously choosing to focus on the beauty of a simple sunset or the warmth of a morning coffee, you are essentially tuning your internal radio to a frequency of positivity. Carl Jung understood that our external world often mirrors our internal state, a concept known as synchronicity. When you cultivate a high vibration aura, you naturally attract circumstances that match it. You aren't ignoring the shadows of the world, but you are refusing to let them occupy the throne of your mind. This deliberate focus is the ultimate form of self-care, transforming you into a living magnet for opportunities that others simply cannot see. Imagine waking up and, instead of checking the news for things to be outraged about, you spend 5 minutes writing down 3 things you're grateful for in a journal. This small shift in mindset is like choosing to buy a high-yield asset. It pays dividends in inner peace throughout your entire day. While toxic people are busy holding a sad party and complaining about the weather or the economy, you are busy noticing the small wins because you don't offer them the misery-likes company validation they crave. They find you incredibly boring and eventually drift away to find a more miserable companion. Your high energy acts as an invisible filter, protecting your mental health from the low-frequency static of chronic complainers. By embracing simple living and finding joy in the mundane, you develop a level of emotional intelligence that makes you immune to the victim mentality that plagues so many. It's the difference between eating junk food and nourishing your body with whole foods. Your spirit becomes too clean to tolerate the toxins of constant negativity. You are essentially setting boundaries not through words, but through the sheer radiance of your own positive energy, which acts as a keep-out sign for the grumpy. As you become this good news magnet, you'll notice that your life starts to feel lighter, as if a heavy fog has finally lifted from your path. You aren't just avoiding the bad, you are actively creating a space where only the good can breathe, and that is where true transformation begins. This magnetic pull doesn't just repel the negative. It creates a vacuum that prepares you for a final realization about the power you've held all along. It's as if you've been building a masterpiece in the dark, and now, the first rays of dawn are starting to hit the canvas. Now that you have looked into the mirror of your own soul, you must ask yourself, are you ready to stop being a casualty of other people's chaos and start being the architect of your own inner peace? These 5 signs aren't just personality traits. They are the milestones of your individuation, the evidence that you are finally reclaiming the gold from your shadow. Carl Jung reminded us that the world will ask you who you are. And if you don't know, the world will tell you. By setting boundaries and cultivating a high vibration aura, you have finally given the world your answer. But let me ask you this, which of these signs resonated with your mental health journey the most today? Have you felt that no thank you superpower tingling in your veins lately? Or are you still learning how to be the calm lake in a world that demands you be a storm? The path to simple living and positive energy isn't a destination. It's a daily choice to honor your own light over someone else's darkness. If you are ready to stop playing the look at me game and start living for the self, then it is time to take the next step in your evolution. Don't let this knowledge sit idle in your mind. Apply it, breathe it, and watch how the toxic people in your life naturally fade into the background. If you found value in this deep dive into the Jungian perspective on positivity and mindset, make sure to subscribe to the channel and activate all notifications. By doing so, you are joining a tribe of high-vibration individuals committed to self-care and the pursuit of truth. Your journey toward ultimate emotional intelligence is just beginning, and I'll be here to guide you through every shadow until you find the sun.